You're listening to the Doctor Is In podcast, brought to you by MartinClinic.com. During the episode, the doctors share a lot of information. As awesome as the info may be, it is not intended to diagnose, cure, treat, or prevent any disease. It's strictly for informational purposes.
Well, good morning. Good to have you on with us here. Let's talk about the big four. What are the big four? What do I mean by that? Well, I kind of joke in the office a little bit about you're going to die. That's a fact, right? 4 ways, okay? Just statistics are 100% overwhelmingly true in North America. We're going to die of 4 things. Now, I add a 5th thing because I always tell people, look, you can get hit by a bus too, right? That you can't control. But the 4 leading causes, the big four, heart disease. Actually, now you listen, there was something that came out last week that was they're saying in the Western world that cancer is now taking over heart disease. But the cause of death still is heart disease over cancer. It's close, but heart attack, stroke, cancer, number 2. Do you ever read... I got a degree, a PhD in obituaryology, okay? I'm fascinated by obituaries. I know that sounds morbid, but I am. You can always pretty well tell what they died of, right? If they died suddenly, well, you know it wasn't cancer, right? They usually had a heart attack or a stroke. And a lot of times you can tell the way people died. By the way, the first thing that I look for in the obituary is make sure I'm not there, okay? So I go online to my hometown and I look and, I often know people who are patients of mine. I'm always interested in that. And, but you can find out a lot, even in a little obituary, what they died of, okay? And it's usually one of the big 4. And you can often tell that by... send your donations to the Canadian Cancer Society or the Heart Association or mental health and sometimes the Alzheimer's and dementia. Anyway, or Diabetes Association. Yeah. Big 4. Heart, cancer. What's number 3? Shocking. In North America. What's number 3? Alzheimer's. Number 3, cause of death. And number 4, that used to be number 50, is diabetes. It's diabetes. Number 4. So heart, cancer, Alzheimer's, diabetes, the big 4. Why am I telling you this morning? I always talk about this kind of stuff, right? But I want to make a point. Because Tony Jr. and I were talking yesterday. And by the way, coming out in the next few weeks, if you want to do the reset, everybody's been asking me about what's the Martin Clinic reset. Well, I'm going to teach it. And if you sign up, we'll send you the teaching. Okay, so Tony Jr. is in charge of that. I'm in charge of the teaching. I'm going to teach the reset. How to do it. What's even more important? It's not how to do it. It's why you should do it. I'm going to teach that. I think you'll really, really appreciate it. And it's something we've been doing in the clinic. Anyway, Tony Jr. and I were talking yesterday, and we were talking about something. He said, Dad, what do we always do? We reverse engineer. We reverse engineer at the clinic. So if you have this problem, well, this problem didn't just start here. Let's go back and find out how it started and why it started. Because we reverse engineer everything. That's how we have come up with our protocol to treat different conditions. We reverse engineer the condition. And you've seen that in our teaching, the 3 seeds of disease. What starts it starts the big 4. What starts the big 4? High circulating insulin, leaky gut, and oxidative damage, free radical damage. oxidative damage to the cells. That's the root of all disease. It's the root of all four: high circulating insulin, leaky gut, and oxidative damage. We came up with that by reverse engineering everything. Okay, so the big four. Let's reverse engineer how we have come to the point we have come in our society today. How could the world, like, I'm specifically talking about North America, how could in 2019, how can heart disease, it's worse than ever, guys. It's worse than ever. Cancer, in spite of the claims that the war on cancer that President Nixon said started in the 1970s, I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember him saying, we're starting the war on cancer. The war on cancer. Well, holy moly. It's like the Americans in Afghanistan. I don't know if you should have ever gone in there, man, because the war never ends. I think they've been there, since 2001, and they're still there. Okay, I don't even want to get into the politics, but all I'm saying is, I don't know if they're winning the war in Afghanistan. They just came out with a study, an article this week. I read it. I was fascinated by it. Apparently, the governments in the United States, like the different administrations over the years, they've been lying to the Americans about how successful they've been in Afghanistan. Apparently, they haven't been successful at all. They've been fudging the numbers, and it costs them. Anyway, I don't want to talk about. But we have a war on cancer. We're losing. We're losing. In the 1970s, ladies, if you were a woman in North America, your chances of getting breast cancer were 1 out of 20. It's 1 out of 6 today. Cardiovascular disease, higher than ever. We haven't even made a dent in it. Like, if you come to my house and you want money from me for the Canadian Cancer Society or the Canadian Heart Association or whatever, like, I feel sorry for the volunteers, but don't come to my house, because I'm going to ask you a question. The poor people, right? Usually it's just a kid at the door or whatever. I mean, who hasn't been touched by cancer? Everybody. Everybody knows somebody, right? That has been touched. Doesn't it, and the Canadian Cancer Society pulls at your heartstrings and says, well, give us money because we're researching. No, they're not. No, they're not. They haven't even made a dent. They raise millions and millions of dollars a year, and the Heart Association too, and the Diabetic Association too. They raise millions and millions. By the way, if you want to know, look, they're public. You can go and Google, get onto their website of the Canadian Cancer Society and look at their books. It's public. I've done it. 90% of the money you give goes to their salaries and marketing. Yeah, less than 5% goes to research. They're just a big business. They keep it going all the time. Every year they gotta pay their salaries. They gotta pay for their marketing, but they're not making a dent. Now, why is that so important to us? Why is that? Because it's killing our economy. News article this week. The wait times in the hospitals in Canada are worse than ever. We don't have enough money. They're throwing good after bad. They're looking for love in all the wrong places. Yeah. Let's reverse engineer what happened. Why are we stuck in the situation that we're in? Why is it? It's called the Big Four. Why do we have those Big Four? You guys already know the answer, but okay, let's reverse engineer. How did this happen in North America? Why are we more sick today than we used to be? Now listen, the only time we ever made a dent in cancer and even heart disease was when people stopped smoking. Yeah. Well, you didn't have to be a stinking rocket scientist to know. Well, mind you, in the 1950s, I told you guys this before, because everybody in my house smoked. When I grew up, I grew up around smoke. My dad, 4 packs of Buckinghams a day. My mother, Peter Jackson, I used to steal her cigarettes as a kid. My brothers smoked. My 3 older brothers all smoked. I watched it. It was part of our life in the 1950s, okay? And then I remember my dad went cold turkey. And because I remember him telling me, well, smoking's no good for you. What? I said, Dad, whose cigarettes am I going to steal? I wasn't stealing my dad's. I didn't like his. They had no filter on the back, on the end. He was smoking Buckinghams. My mother was smoking Peter Jackson. I was stealing my mother's cigarettes, not my dad's. I never really smoked that much, okay? I didn't like it. My brother cured me one day, my older brother, David. He gave me a cigar. I think I was 12 or something. He said, here, take a puff of this and inhale it. Oh, man, I was sick. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sick as a dog. That cured me from smoking after that. Okay. So, but guys, listen, the only dent in cancer, the only dent in cardiovascular disease, imagine that, is when people stop smoking. Yeah, otherwise there's been no effect. So let's reverse engineer. How did we get to where we are, where we have the big 4 coming to a theater near you? It wants to kill you. Heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, diabetes, the big 4. And by the way, you look at the history. Look at the history of disease. Diabetes in the 1950s was unheard of. It's not that nobody had diabetes. It's not that. It's that very few had diabetes. Guys, we had ice cream in the 1950s. Why didn't we get diabetes? Okay? I'm asking the question because we're going to reverse engineer. You follow with me this morning. I'm going to show you that we're on the wrong track, guys. Now, I'm not saying you guys specifically because I know that you know more than 99% of the population. I know you know that. That's why I appreciate you so much. Because you listen. Remember what that little guy says? Go on YouTube and say and punch in Linda, listen. That's the cutest thing I've ever seen on Facebook. You can get it on YouTube, I think. Linda, listen. That little kid, I want to eat him. He's so cute. He's telling his mother, calls her Linda. But guys, listen. You guys listen. I love that. Okay, so listen. Listen. What happened? Why? Are you curious? What happened? Here's what happened. We demonized the wrong food. We made it the devil. We made fat the devil. That's what happened. That was the start of it. I talked to you guys a few weeks ago about a guy named Ancel Keys. Who was he? He was a researcher. In the 1950s, it shocked the world that President Eisenhower had a heart attack. Guys, people died, obviously, but they didn't die from what we die of today. Heart attacks were rare. And when the president just dropped dead of a heart attack, he started a lie. Ancel Keys, what did he say? Fat gives you cholesterol. And the rest, guys, is history. The rest is history. My PhD is in nutrition. My thesis was on food. The history of food. Why we are at what we are at today. Why? One man. I don't think he lied on purpose. When he found out it wasn't true later on, he didn't repent. He should have, with sackcloth and ashes on. He should have repented, but he never repented, as far as I know. before he died. But he started a lie that fat makes you fat, and the whole world went for it. The whole world stopped eating fat. Now, the Heart Association, Quaker Oats, they sponsor the Heart Association. And even in 2019, the lie is still being told. Fat makes you fat. Fat gives you cholesterol. And cholesterol is at the root of heart disease. And guys, it's a lie. It's not true. It never was. It was never science. And the world went for it. Reverse engineer. And guys, this started the big four. I'm going to prove it to you. The number one killer is heart disease. Heart disease, if cholesterol was the cause of heart disease, if it was true, what Ancel Keys said, what Ancel Keys says caused the heart attack of President Eisenhower in the 1950s, if what he said was true, heart disease, it would be non-existent today. Stroke and heart disease would be non-existent today. It wouldn't even be on the radar. But it's not true. See, the cereal companies, especially, but the food industry, they took Ancel Keys' research and they said, fat makes you fat. Don't eat bacon and eggs anymore and sausages. Don't eat steak. It's not good for you. Eat our cereals. Eat our cereals and start eating our grains. And you need grains to be healthy because in the plant kingdom, there are no cholesterol. Yeah, cholesterol's not in the plants. Cholesterol's not in grain. Cholesterol is in eggs, meat, and cheese. So don't eat that stuff. Oh, you could, Doc, I don't have a lot of cheese, Doc, because cheese will give me cholesterol. Oh, Doc, I don't, just a little bit of cheese and I have maybe 1 or 2 eggs a week because my doctor said, I get a headache. Dr. Martin gets a workout just listening to nonsense like that because I start sweating and my heart rate goes up and I start boiling. my cortisol. I hate being lied to. It's not true. And then the statin drugs came out. The number one bestseller of all time of every drug in the universe. The Wayne Gretzky, the Mario Lemieux, the Arnold Schwarzenegger, or whatever else illustration you want to use. The numero uno drug of all time was based on a lie. Yeah. No wonder heart disease. There's not even been a dent in it. Because the number one drug of all times came from this lie that fat makes you fat and fat gives you cholesterol. And they made a drug up. I watched them do it. And lie and lie and lie and lie and fudge the numbers. They fudged their research. They made up stuff like LDL, like people. Listen, guys, you want me to comment on your blood work? Send it to me. I'm happy to comment on it. Show me your lipid profile. I'm happy to give you my 2 pennies on it. What am I looking for? Triglycerides, HDL, that's all. Oh, Doc, my total cholesterol is high. Who cares? I don't want to know that. I want to tell you science. Science is, what is your triglycerides? Those are bad fats. And where do they come from? Cereal. You eat this in the morning, your triglycerides are going up. It's sugar. It's grains. Yeah. So You get it? You get it? That's the number one killer still in society today. And people, medicine hasn't made a dent in it. It's gotten worse. Because we are absolutely on the wrong trail to fix it. Doctors, what do they know about nutrition? I love, you get hit by a bus, don't come see Dr. Martin, okay? I can't help you. Doc, I got hit by a bus. Well, go to emergency. I can't help you. You got a very bad infection? Doc, what should I do? Go to the hospital. Get some medication. I'm not against that stuff. Come on. You got a bad infection? You better get an antibiotic. I'm not against that. All I'm saying is, what the heck are you doing on a statin drug? A cholesterol-lowering medication. It doesn't work. You ever see the commercials in the United States? A fireman is coming down the flagpole. He almost fell off the flagpole. He was racing down it so fast so that he could tell his buddies, hey, he's giving everybody high fives. I got my cholesterol down with Lipitor or Crestor or Zocor. And he's giving everybody high fives. And he's all excited. What do you want to have low cholesterol for? Your brain is made up of cholesterol. Your cells are made up of cholesterol. Your hormones are made up of cholesterol. Oh, doc, I got low cholesterol. Well, that's stupid. Why do you want to have low cholesterol? You want to have low triglycerides, not low cholesterol. And triglycerides are directly proportional to how many stinking carbs you're eating, sugars. See the work? I don't have to go to no gym today. I'm working out right now. I am sweating because it drives me crazy. Cancer. Number 2, cancer. What is it? Well, my mother had cancer. My brother's got cancer. It's in the family. You know what? This is the honest to God truth, guys. That makes up for less than 5% of your risk. Any cancer. Less than 5%. I think it's less than 1%, to be honest with you. Now, we all got weaknesses. You got genetics, right? I was telling my a First Nations lady in the other day, okay? I said, you got bad genetics when you're First Nations for diabetes. I said, you would have never get diabetes, though, if white man didn't give you our food. I said, if you lived off the land like you used to, there was no such thing as diabetes in the native population. First Nations didn't have diabetes until they started eating our foods. But they have a weakness. They can't eat like we do. Well, we shouldn't eat like we do either. But they don't get away with it. They get diabetes in an awful hurry. First Nations. It's decimating their population. Guys, it's very simple. It's very simple. It seems too simplistic what I'm going to tell you, but it's very simple. Cancer needs fuel. We all fight cancer. You're looking at me? I have cancer cells in my body, even as we speak. They need fuel. Yeah? You know, I know that sounds crazy because we spend gazillions of dollars every year looking for the cure for cancer, don't we? True or false? True. And some people say, oh, we already have the cure to cancer, right? And the pharmaceutical industry is hiding it. Nah, I don't think they have a drug for it. Cancer is very complex, by the way. But everybody will agree with this. There isn't a scientist that doesn't agree with this. Cancer needs fuel. It needs sugar. If you don't believe me, sign up for a PET scan at your local hospital. A PET scan, P-E-T. Okay? Don't put your pet through it. Okay? Don't say, well, I got my cat a scan. It was a PET scan. No, it's not. What PET is, this is the best technology they have to detect cancer. It's called a PET scan. It's better than an MRI. And here in Ontario, they're trying to restrict its use because it's very expensive and they don't want to have to use it. We have it, but they don't want to use it. It costs a lot of money to use it. You know how it works? How does the PET scan work? Radioactive dye, what do they give you? A glass of sugar. And if you have cancer, you light up like a Christmas tree. Why do they give you sugar? Right? It's hard to get a PET scan. Anyway, I don't want to get into the politics. Well, I am into politics because I'm telling the governments that will listen, the model that we have is wrong. It's 100% wrong. Look, we can't control, you might get hit by a bus. I told you that. You can't control that. And you are going to die. But does it have to be of the big four? Cardio, cancer, Alzheimer's, number 3. That is incredible to me. It is incredible to me. Number 3, Alzheimer's. What do they call it? What do they call Alzheimer's? What's one of the medical terms used for Alzheimer's? Do you know? Type 3 diabetes. Over 50%, the brain becomes diabetic. That's a big issue. Guys, it's food. We believe the lie about fat. Fat doesn't give you cancer. Fat doesn't give you heart disease. As a matter of fact, for Alzheimer's, it's when you don't eat enough fat. Your brain is made up of fat. Dr. Martin, I drink fat-free milk. I drink 1%. I said, that's the size of your brain. If you're only drinking 1%, hold on. I only drink skim milk. You should see my face in the clinic. I try and be nice. I must scare people in the office because I give them faces like, you're drinking skim milk? Really? Oh, well, my doctor said I can't have any fat because my blood pressure is high. I'm telling you, your brain is made up of fat. It's a fat organ. So that's Alzheimer's, guys. Your brain shrinks. Now, there's a couple of other factors, but food is the biggest factor because we believe the lie. That's what reverse engineering does, you see. You can look back at the history. I had ice cream as a kid, but we didn't eat. Canadians in the 1950s, this is facts, were consuming in total about 25 pounds of sugar a year. It's 200 pounds of sugar a year now. Those poor kids today. Raised on pizza, raised on craft dinner, raised on juice boxes and cereal. I went to Costco the other day. You should see the big boxes of cereal. You know Costco, everything's big, right? I mean, they big boxes, and they all had hearts on them. All had hearts on them. Cheerios has a heart on the box. Shreddies has a heart on the box. Quaker Oats, heart on the box. Liars, liars, pants on fire. They're trying to get you to eat their cereal. They're good marketers. They go after kids. Frosted Flakes are great. No, they're not. They're great fuel for cancer. They're great fuel for heart disease. Oh, Dr. Martin, I need my fiber. No, you don't. Fiber's overrated. If I don't have my Quaker Oats every morning, I might not go for number 2. You should see the faces I make in the office when they tell me that. Anyways, and the fourth one is diabetes. Well, let me tell you something. Number 4 on the hit parade of what you could die from in Canada and the United States. Number 4 is actually involved in number 1, 2, and 3. And that is, you're already a diabetic. You know, I had a patient in yesterday and I said, well, you really are a diabetic, okay? Like, is there a pre-diabetic? I said, well, look, the last thing that happens in diabetes is that your sugar is elevated. Oh, doc, my sugars are normal. I said, yeah, but you got high circulating insulin. Your insulin's too high. And the cause of diabetes isn't high sugar. It's high insulin. It's the food hormone. Yeah, that happens first. You get insulin, high circulating insulin, leading to insulin resistance. And that is involved in heart disease. That's where triglycerides come from. High sugars, high grains. Oh, Dr. Martin, I'm eating 17 grain whole wheat rye bread. I don't care. It's going to be sugar in 5 seconds. I don't care if it's got 78 grains in it. It's whole wheat, triple grain. I said, quit negotiating with me. It's still going to be sugar in 5 seconds. Stop eating that. Oh, Dr. Martin, how can I have bacon and eggs without having toast? Oh, you'll get over it. Get over it. You want the big four? Yeah. 3/4 of the people that come in to see me, 3/4, they're already on the Titanic of diabetes. And the iceberg is just up the road. Yeah. So who am I? I'm the ship called the Californian. Now, you guys read anything about, the Titanic? I love the Titanic story. I love it. Anything I could ever get my hands on, I love to read. It was fascinating. But all night long, that night that 1,300 people died, there was a ship that wasn't far away. It was called the Californian, the USS Californian. And they kept, Morse code, telling the Titanic, listen, don't keep going the way you're going. Get off the route you're on. There's icebergs there. You're going to hit an iceberg. And the guy that was doing was on the, whatever you call it, for Morse code, he turned it off. He said, shut up. I'm sick and tired. So some guys turn me off. They're sick and tired of listening, telling me, get off the Titanic. Change your diet. Get off the Titanic. You have metabolic syndrome. It's going to kill you. You have to change course. That is what motivates me. That is why I'm still in practice. I preach it. You know me. I preach it. It's not complicated. Get off the Titanic. Change your diet. It will save your life. Unless you get hit by a bus. Unless you get hit by a bus. Okay? Hey guys, love you. I know I pontificated for quite a while this morning, but share this with your friends.
You've reached the end of another Dr. is In podcast with your hosts, Dr. Martin Jr. and Sr. Be sure to catch our next episode, and thanks for listening.